Hey, gorgeous! Welcome to the Business Mindset Podcast with Holly Worton, which combines powerful strategies on how to upgrade your business mindset along with practical business tips to grow your business. This podcast features solo shows with Holly and also interviews with inspiring women entrepreneurs from around the world. Thank you so much for joining us today. And now, here's your host, Holly Worton.
Hello and welcome to the Business Mindset Podcast, episode 213. This is your host, Holly Worton, and I'm back with another solo episode. Today, I'm going to talk more about visibility. This is a big topic for me, and it's something that I've been thinking about lately and talking about lately with friends. It was the subject of episode 211, which you may have tuned into. If you haven't, do take a look at it. That's where I talk about how to redefine visibility and create deeper connections online. So I talked about why I think we need to redefine how we choose to show up online, how you can start creating deeper connections online. I mentioned specific tips and ideas on how to go deeper with our marketing, how to figure out what you like, what you don't like, and what you might want to change about how you're doing things, and new ways that you can start getting visible by having deeper conversations online. So today I want to talk about the shadow side of visibility, the side that shows up as a big block for a lot of people. And that is when you show up in a bigger way and when you get visible in a bigger way, you're opening yourself up to criticism, to comments, to negative feedback, to bad reviews, because you're getting out there to a bigger audience of people who may or may not be your ideal client, reader, follower, whatever. And I think this is something that a lot of people who are new to business and new to online marketing are really scared of. And I think this is something that stops a lot of people from getting visible early on in their business because they're so scared of getting negative feedback, of getting the criticism, of getting the haters. So this is something I really want to address with you, and it's something that I want to talk to you about today. So this is in part sparked by a recent 1-star review that I got for my first walking book on Amazon. Now I have a mix of reviews for this book. So I've got a couple of 5-star reviews and then I've got 2 1-star reviews. And when I got the first 1-star review, it was a shock, but I thought, oh well, this person wasn't really my ideal reader. And then I got the second 1-star review and I really freaked out. It really hurt. And I addressed this in a blog post that I wrote a couple of weeks after the fact, which I called The Hidden Power of 1-Star Reviews, or The Unexpected Power of 1-Star Reviews. So as I said in this blog post, when I read it, I felt sick to my stomach. I felt like my book was a piece of crap. I felt like I was wrong, like I had written this horrible thing, and that everything that I'd done was just really horrible. This person hated the book, hated it. And it wasn't until several days later that I could actually come back and read it again and realize that it was just not what this person was expecting. And interestingly, I went back to the review because I wanted to rewrite the description of the book to make sure that it accurately represented the book so that I could market it to the right people and make sure that the people who didn't want that kind of book wouldn't get it. But then when I reread the review and I reread my description of the book, I realized there was nothing in my description that should have led that person to buy the book, because she was not looking for the inner journey of walking a long distance trail. She was looking for something very much about the cultural and historical information of the area covered by that book, because she was moving to that area and wanted to learn more. Again, there was nothing in the description of my book that should have led her to think that my book would give her that information. It didn't. And of course she didn't like it because she didn't get what she wanted. But I was able to see that after, I think it was a week or 10 days. In the moment that I read that review, I felt, and it was about at the time that I was getting ready to send out my files for my new walking book on the Ridgeway, and it almost made me stop. It almost made me reconsider releasing it and going through and reading it again. And I think this is something that it's kind of a perfectionism trap that a lot of us can fall into. We're so scared of getting negative reviews. We're so scared of getting criticism, negative feedback, that we just don't release our stuff, and we just keep going and reviewing, and we review the draft, and then we review another draft, and then we review it again, and we make sure it's perfect. But of course, it's never going to be perfect. because nothing's perfect. So for me, it has been a massive exercise in putting myself out there by releasing these books, not just my business books, but my walking books as well. The walking books are such an inner journey of my experience, both the good and the bad, the ups and the downs, and I'm really bearing my soul when I put those books out there. So I feel very vulnerable and I feel very tender when I'm criticized for them. But I think this is something that we need to be willing to accept. We need to be willing to open up to receive not just the good feedback, but also the negative feedback. Because if we stay small, if we stay within our comfort zone, if we stay within the safe zone of our friends and family, when we release our blog posts and our stuff that we create, we can't build a business that way. You really do need to get out of that comfort zone, out of that safe zone, and into the bigger world if you want to build your business and attract the right clients for you. And you can't do that if you're staying in the comfort zone, if you're staying in the safety zone. But like I said at the beginning, when you open yourself up to that wider audience, you're opening yourself up to be found by people who aren't right for you, who weren't looking for that kind of book, who weren't expecting that kind of video, who didn't want to hear that kind of podcast. And people don't always read descriptions. People do things quickly. They want to just buy the thing and move on, or click on the thing and read it, or listen to it, or watch it. So even if we do, as I tried to do, perfect our description of what it is that we're offering, we're always going to get someone that's not quite right. And that's okay. It's so much better to put ourselves out there and be seen and be criticized by people who weren't right for us than it is to stay small. And like I said, this is kind of the shadow side of visibility, and it's a big, big block that I see entrepreneurs experiencing because it's scary, because it hurts. It hurts physically. My stomach, I felt like someone had kicked me in the gut when I read that bad review. It hurts, but then you get over it. And it's not that big a deal, and you realize it's not that big a deal. Even if you're sharing your personal story and you're bearing your soul, and if you're being vulnerable, it's still okay, and you still will get over it, and it's still worth doing. And I always revert back to something that Denise Duffield Thomas said the second time she was on our show, which was new level, old devil. That as we grow, oftentimes new facets of the same mindset crap comes up and bites us again. And I see this over and over with myself. I see it over and over again with clients. The same stuff is coming up, but it's a new facet of the same old stuff. So it's like we clear the mindset blocks. We get the mindset that we need to take a step forward, move up that ladder, up that spiral staircase of business. We grow up to that new level. And then boom, we're hit with another facet of the same old stuff again. And it can be frustrating because we've got to keep clearing and keep doing the work and keep clearing and keep doing the work. But that's how we grow. So in terms of visibility and in terms of getting ourselves out there and being visible and being open to the criticism and to the bad reviews and to the negative comments, the more we get out there to a bigger and bigger and bigger audience, this stuff, if this is an issue for us, it's going to come back and hit us again. And then you've just got to do the work and get over it and grow, and do the work and get over it and grow. And just, it's a cycle. And I talk about this so much on my webinars, on this podcast. I talk about it all the time. You've got to do the work and keep doing the work. Keep clearing. Every time you feel like you're stuck, every time you feel like you're frustrated because things aren't happening, that is the time to do the mindset work again. Figure out what's going on. Journal. Pull out your journal, have some quiet time with yourself, figure out what's going on for you, identify the mind crap that's holding you back, and then do it. Do the work, work on it. But I think we all need to come from a place of being open to receiving. As I said, the criticism, the bad reviews, because if we're not open to receiving that stuff, it means that we'll stay stuck, we'll stay small, we'll stay within that safe comfort zone of our friends and our family reading our stuff. And your business can't really grow that way. So we need to be open to receive. And this is something that you could specifically work on if you're working on mindset stuff. So what do you need to believe in order to actually be open to receiving the bad criticism or the negative stuff? Do you need to believe that it's safe for you to receive negative feedback? Do you need to believe that it's okay, that it's safe and appropriate? What is the language that you need? What is the concept that you need to embed in your subconscious and in your energy field so that you can have the courage to speak up, to get out there, to put your stuff out there, and to be open to receive both the positive feedback and the critical feedback? What do you need to believe? What do you need to believe about yourself? What do you need to believe about your abilities? Who do you need to be as an entrepreneur in order to get your stuff out there and be visible in a way, opening yourself up to a wider audience and opening yourself up to accepting and receiving all ranges of feedback? Who do you need to be in order to do that and to receive it and move on? And I think one really useful exercise is for you to sit down and look at which areas online feel the safest. So maybe make a list from safest to scariest. And include things like if you have a podcast. So my podcast is really safe because I'm broadcasting. Yeah, you can email me and give me negative feedback, but I'm not going to get it live as I'm recording this episode. So that's super safe to me. My private Facebook group is safe because it's all people who have asked to join and they mostly know who I am. My email list is safe because I'm sending an email out, again, to people who have opted into the list. And if they write back, they're just writing back and contacting me privately. So it's not scary in any way. My Facebook personal profile, if I'm sharing to friends, that's a list of people that I've curated. Don't accept everyone on my Facebook profile, so that's pretty safe. Then you start getting out to the more public stuff. So you can share stuff on your Facebook profile to public, and then that means it gets out to a much bigger audience. Sharing stuff on LinkedIn, again, you've chosen who to connect with there. Google Plus, is anyone using that anymore? I don't know, but I guess that's more public. Facebook Lives might be a little bit scarier. So that's a live video. Periscope, same kind of thing. Live video, you can get instant feedback as you're doing the video, and that can really put you off course if people are being negative or critical in the moment. Twitter is very open. Don't really see people being too nasty on Twitter, at least not in my circles. And then Amazon reviews, Goodreads reviews, that's where you're getting your work, if you're writing books, out to a much wider audience. And that's where it can start to get scary because people that don't know you can be buying your books. Amazon has a fantastic search engine. So if you have optimized the description of your book, you will be getting people searching for things that, your book is about and finding your book, people who have never heard of you before. And that's putting you out to a wider audience and opening you up to negative and positive feedback. YouTube, another excellent search engine. And YouTube videos are notorious for getting weird comments from people who just don't know you and don't care. Reddit is probably not a place where most entrepreneurs hang out, at least not for business purposes, but that's another place where people can be really quite nasty. So I think that's more or less kind of my range of safe to scary online. And so my suggestion for you is to write that out and write out your list of what are the safest places, what are the scariest places, and start making yourself visible on the safe places. But then be sure to gradually start stepping it up and being more visible in the scarier places. And find the ways to be visible on those platforms that work for you. So that's a really good way to gradually stretch yourself and take baby steps into getting visible in some of the scarier or more open platforms. That would be my suggestion of what to do. And stretch yourself. Do be sure to stretch yourself outside of your comfort zone. And in the same way that you look at which places online feel safer, which ones feel scarier, what types of content feel safe to you? What types of content feel scary to you? So maybe you're confident about writing blog posts, but you're scared of doing a podcast. Or maybe you're okay with doing YouTube videos, but not Facebook Live videos. Have a think about what types of content feel the safest, what types of content feel the scariest, and then make that list and just start pushing yourself out of your comfort zone and trying new things. Because again, if you stay within your comfort zone, if you stay within what's safe, you're not going to get out there to those wider audiences that you need in order for people to find out about you. And I keep repeating myself here, but I cannot stress that enough. You've got to get out there to bigger audiences. You've got to get out there in ways where people will find you, and you've got to be open to receiving that criticism or negative feedback. And the thing about receiving negative feedback and getting used to it, it builds resilience. And Joe Casey and I are going to talk about this in a few weeks. Actually, it's quite a bit into the future. So it's episode 219 that we talk about resiliency. But resiliency is an important part of business. You've got to be willing to get knocked down and pick yourself back up, and get knocked down and pick yourself back up, and trip and fall and pick yourself back up. It's just a part of business. We've got the highs, we've got the lows, we've got the dips, we've got, you've just got to get used to picking yourself up. And if you're not willing to fall, then you're probably not going to build a successful business, because you've got to be willing to receive the trips, the falls, the so-called failures, so that you can pick yourself up and move on and try something new. NLP says there's no failure, there's only feedback. And I truly and deeply believe that, which is why after the initial shock of that 1-star review, I was able to think about it and say, well, look, okay, what's the feedback here? What could I do better? How could I write the book better? How could I write my next book better? How could I write the description for the book better so that the right people find it? Go back and review when you get negative feedback, when you get bad reviews. What could you do better next time? Because that I find really empowering. Some people are just shits and they're in a bad mood and they don't give a shit and they don't care about you. And so they write things in reviews that they would never ever say to your face, or that they would never ever say to a friend, because they're an anonymous internet person and you're an anonymous internet person to them. And they just feel okay saying whatever the hell they want to say. And that's just part of the online world. So you've got to be open to receiving that stuff. And that's why I recommend baby steps outside of your comfort zone. But know where you are now, know where you feel safe, know what feels scary, and start working on taking baby steps towards that scary zone, because that's going to help you stretch your comfort zone and grow as an entrepreneur, as an individual, and it will help you develop that resilience that you need to become a successful entrepreneur and get yourself out there in a much bigger way. Because I know so many people that dream of being a motivational speaker, of speaking on a big stage, of having a really successful podcast, YouTube channel, blog, whatever. But in order to get there, you need to be open to receiving criticism. You may take it on board, you may not take it on board, but you need to be open to receiving it, because if you're not open to receiving it, you're blocking yourself. You're staying safe. You're staying within your comfort zone. And visibility is such an important part of business. You might call it marketing, you might call it visibility, but it's so important that it has its own category in my business beliefs book and my business blocks book. And then I wrote a whole book called Business Visibility. So that is such a main focus to me, because again, if you're not visible, if people don't know who you are, they can't find you, and you won't find your ideal clients, and you won't be able to build your business. So again, figure out what you need to believe about yourself in order to be more visible and be open to receiving criticism and negative feedback and negative reviews. What do you need to believe about yourself? Who do you need to be to stand up and open yourself up in this way? And what blocks do you have that are keeping you stuck and keeping you invisible, or keeping you hiding, or keeping you closed at the thought of receiving negative feedback or negative reviews? Figure this stuff out, really get clear on it, and do the mindset work in order to shift your beliefs and shift your mindset at the deeper levels, at the subconscious level, at the energetic level. And if you have any questions about this, please get in touch. You probably know by now my email address is holly@hollywharton.com. Pop me an email if you don't understand this, if you have any questions, whatever. If you need help, let me know. Just send me an email and say, can we talk about this? Because this is my thing. It is my thing to help see people, to help see their potential, to help see how they're playing small, and then to help them figure out what they need to believe in order to make their dreams a reality. And I do that by helping them shift their subconscious beliefs and release any energy blocks that are keeping them stuck. As you may know, I'm now working with Heart-Centered Energy Work process, which is the process that I channeled last year. I'm still seeing Site K clients because some people do really like working with very specific belief statements as opposed to working on the overall goal. So I can work with you however you like. Or if you have another thing that you prefer, whether it's tapping, hypnotherapy, whatever your preferred method is of working at these deeper levels, do it. But be sure you do the mindset work at these deep levels. And I say this over and over again because I really need to drive home how important it is. This is how I got to where I am today. It's by clearing my mind crap. I used to be terrified of putting my stuff out there. I was terrified of putting videos on YouTube. In fact, the first videos I put on YouTube, I disabled the comments because I was so terrified. And then I got some eventually I got to the point where I enabled comments again. Got some crappy comments. I was fine. I moved on. I used those comments to alter the descriptions of those videos to make it clear what it was, what it wasn't. I know I reference this video from time to time, but I do have this one video on how to use muscle testing in your business that it's got 52,000 views on it now. And that means that it's gotten out to a much, much, much wider audience than most of my YouTube videos. And it's gotten out to people who, I don't know how they arrived at the video, but a lot of people think it's a load of BS. And that's fine. And so I've adapted the description of that video to say, look, this is intended to help you. If you like, muscle testing, great. If you don't like it and you don't agree with it, great. Do what works for you. And I clearly say now in the description of that video, I'm not willing to debate how this works, why it works, whether it works. I'm not debating that. So if you find this useful, great. If you don't. If you need help, let me know. So I've used those negative comments and the weird feedback that you get on YouTube to really define what the video's about, what it's meant to do, and that kind of thing. So again, negative feedback, negative reviews can hurt, but you've got to get over them. And when I first saw that 1-star review, I kind of freaked out and put something on my Facebook profile and said, oh, why do I check negative reviews on Amazon? And a lot of people said, well, you don't read them, just don't. And at the time I thought, oh, they're so right, I shouldn't read them. But like I said, after a week or 10 days, I've realized there's great value in reading those negative reviews. Some people are just negative and they will say anything, and you can tell which ones to disregard, but some of them do have really useful feedback, even if it is negative. It can help you hone your descriptions of your content and really get clear on who your audience is, who your audience isn't, and how to put your stuff out there. So this kind of is leading on into something that I'm running very soon, between the 28th of August and the 5th of September. It's something I'm calling Redefining Visibility. It's a 7-day adventure. So we're going to be exploring deep visibility, how to really create deep connections online, how to quit just ticking the box and doing your daily Facebook live video or blog post or YouTube video, and create deeper connections with people online, to have deep conversations. And it's going to be something really, really simple. You're going to get a daily email with a specific topic for you to think about and one action step for you to take. We're going to have sharing and conversation in my Facebook group. We're going to have a live call at the end to evaluate how it went to everyone and how you can take that forward. And you've got 2 days in the middle there to have a break or to catch up. So it's going to be 7 days over the course of 9 days. So it's not too overwhelming. So if you're interested in this, I would love to have you join me on this journey. So if you head over to Redefining Visibility, that's hollywharton.com/RV for Redefining Visibility, and you will be redirected to the sign up page where you can learn more about this 7-day adventure. And join me on it. I would love to see you on it. This is something that has grown out of conversations that I've had with friends, conversations that I've had with my coaches, conversations in my Facebook group, and it's something that I think is really needed. So I really look forward to playing with you on this and seeing what comes up. I'm really, really excited about this. So Redefining Visibility, that's hollywharton.com/RV. If you have any questions about that or about anything else in this episode, or if you want to give me feedback on this episode, you can write to holly@hollyworton.com. And if you would like, I can give you a shout out on this episode if you want me to share your feedback. So please drop me a line. Let me know what you thought about what we talked about today, the shadow side of visibility. Again, you can email me at hollyworton.com, or you can find me on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and get in touch. Like I said, I would love to give you a shout out on the show. And if you are interested in being a special guest on the Business Mindset podcast, I would love to chat with one of my listeners on a future episode. I would love to hear about who you are, what you do, how the podcast has helped you in your business, what are your favorite episodes, and how doing this mindset work and changing your mindset has changed your life and business. If this sounds good to you, head over to hollyworton.com/guest and fill out the form. I would also, as always, love for you to join me in my private Facebook group, Business Mindset Alchemists, so we can continue the conversation there. Podcasting, like I said, is such a one-way conversation. I'm really just talking at you, and I'm so sorry. So I'd love to get some feedback from you in the group. Business Mindset Alchemists is a group dedicated to exploring business mindset and how you can get the mindset you need to achieve your dreams. I would love to see you in there. So if you head over to hollyworton.com/group, you will be redirected to the Facebook group. And as always, thank you so much for listening. If you enjoyed this episode, please leave a quick review on iTunes. It would mean the world to me. And remember to visit hollyworton.com/213 for the show notes on this episode. Thank you.
Thanks so much for listening to the Business Mindset Podcast with your host, Holly Worton. You can find more information about today's episode, including links for topics that were discussed, at hollyworton.com. And if you enjoyed this episode, please remember to head over to iTunes and leave a quick review of this podcast. It just takes a minute. Thank you.